I am Angelina Roberts' fiancé and her childhood sweetheart. That day, I saw her kissing another man, her so-called good brother. He's so annoying, always trying to control me, she complained, embracing him. Her good brother giggled. It's because you've spoiled him. I've told you to set more rules for him, and he won't dare to do it again. You didn't listen, so who's to blame? Oh, so that's how it is. Actually, she's not the only one for me. Later, as she wished I left. But she seemed to become a different person, saying she would marry no one but me. Ding! Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. That evening, Angelina Roberts messaged me, asking me to bring some alcohol from home to the pub. I had caught a cold yesterday, with a fever and dizziness, and had been bedridden all day. She knew this perfectly well. Too much drinking isn't good for your health, and that area isn't safe. Come home early, yeah, I texted back. Her call came through. As soon as I answered, there was a burst of commotion on the other end. Quiet, everyone. Let's see how our Angie tames her husband. Ha ha ha. Angie, keep him in line. Amidst the laughter and noise, she spoke. Have you eaten? I was taken aback. Yes, I have. My girlfriends are all waiting. Why is it so difficult for you to just bring something over? She said, annoyed. You've got energy to eat but not to come here? I've taken cold medicine. I'm dizzy now, I said hoarsely. That area is rough. A girl was kidnapped by thugs recently. Please come home early. Angie, forget it. I knew you couldn't handle him. I'll go buy some drinks. My treat for the ladies. It was a grating male voice. I knew that voice all too well. Angelina's good brother, Hank Thomas. Don't worry, little Angie. Even though you lost the bet, Big Bro won't deny you a drink, he said teasingly. The commotion started up again. A wave of nausea suddenly hit me. Calvin Harrison, are you coming or not? Angelina's voice, with that familiar impatience. I closed my eyes for a moment. All right, I'm on my way now. I hailed a taxi and arrived at the pub. As I pushed open the door, I immediately spotted Angelina Roberts standing in the center of the room, locked in a passionate embrace with Hank Thomas amidst a chorus of cheers. The raucous atmosphere suddenly fell silent when they noticed me. Sensing the change, Hank glanced over with his peripheral vision, let out an "oh," and quickly released Angelina. Angelina, her eyes glazed over, tried to cling to him in confusion, but Hank pushed her away. Look who's here, he mumbled. Angelina pouted in dissatisfaction and frowned as she turned to look at me. She appeared thoroughly intoxicated. As our eyes met, Hank casually wiped his lips and said with a grin, Mate, don't get the wrong idea. We lost a drinking game and this was our forfeit. I scanned him, noting his bare chest. Angelina and her friends had praised him more than once. Handsome and fit, they'd said. Right? I said, walking over and placing the bottle on the glass table, fighting a headache. I've delivered the drinks. I'm leaving now. Come on, mate. Don't be angry. Hank suddenly threw his arm around my shoulder. You're here now, have a drink before you go. I turned back, frowning at him. All the girls here can vouch for me and Angie. We're just mucking about like siblings. If you've got the wrong end of the stick, that's not fair on us. Ha! Wrong end of the stick. I turned to face him. Mucking about like siblings? He nodded. I pointed casually at one of the girls. Then give her a kiss too. Hank's face instantly drained of color. No, mate, what do you take me for? As he spoke, his eyes filled with humiliation. At that moment, one of the girls stood up. Angie's boyfriend. We were just playing a drinking game, having fun. What era are you living in? Don't you understand women's freedom? Stop trying to control her with your outdated thinking. All right, that's right. It's just a bit of fun. I turned to face the group. Do you know why I haven't trashed this place right now? Because I'm feeling rough today and don't want to waste words on scum. But if you keep provoking me, be careful, none of you might leave here today. A few of them fell silent, exchanging uneasy glances before looking towards Angelina. Angie, what should we do? Enough. I turned as Angelina approached, grabbing my arm. What's wrong with you today? We've already said it was just sibling-like messing around. Why are you making such a fuss? You've ruined the whole mood. What has Hank done wrong? Why are you deliberately embarrassing him like this? I'm sorry, mate. It's my fault. Hank hurried over. If I'd known you two would argue, I wouldn't have insisted on this silly drinking game. Look, Angie, I'll take the girls and carry on. You should head home with your boyfriend. As soon as he said this, Angelina's expression changed. She suddenly started shouting at me. Calvin Harrison, don't you dare go too far. I may be your girlfriend, but I'm also an independent woman. Don't use the excuse of caring about me to control me. What I want to do and who I want to hang out with is my own business. I looked at her silently, suddenly overwhelmed by a wave of exhaustion from all directions. At that moment, all I wanted was to leave this ridiculous place immediately. I shook off Angelina's hand and turned to leave. Come on, mate. Don't be angry. Hank tried to grab me again, but I pushed him away. Whoa! He stumbled and somehow managed to fall to the ground. This fall seemed to reignite Angelina's anger. Calvin Harrison, stop right there, she shouted from behind me. I turned back to see her helping up a pitiful-looking Hank, her face dark with rage. Apologize to Hank. I paused, calmly looking at her angry face. This face that had once shown me all sorts of expressions. Concern, affection, sympathy, playfulness. Now, it frequently glared at me in anger for the sake of her dear brother. If you don't apologize today, we're through, she continued. At this point, all her so-called best friends in the private room were watching us three with expressions of eager anticipation, as if enjoying a show. I felt like a monkey in a circus. I even thought that getting into a fight here, despite my aching body, would be pointless and laughable. Why bother? Dirty my hands for this? Fine. I stepped forward. What? Angelina frowned. Oh, Angie, look at you. Hank glanced at me, then patted Angelina affectionately. What are you doing? Don't put your boyfriend in a difficult position. What did you say? Angelina asked again. I said fine. I looked at her calmly. I agree. Let's end it. Perhaps because I was still a bit dizzy. It wasn't until I sat in the taxi that I realized my house keys weren't in my pocket. They must have fallen out in the pub corridor. I had no choice but to go back and look for them. Fortunately, the bartender had found them. As he was handing the keys to me, the door to Angelina Roberts' private room suddenly opened. Hank Thomas was supporting a drunk Angelina Roberts, walking towards the toilets while complaining. Oh, come on. No matter how angry you are, you still need to take care of yourself. If you don't care about yourself, someone else will, he added. Angelina giggled and cupped his face. Tell me, why isn't he as nice as you? He even gave me attitude when bringing me a drink. And now he wants to break up. Hank let out an oh dear. He's indeed quite inconsiderate. Look how good you've been to him. Other blokes would be so envious. But, him talking about breaking up is surely just in the heat of the moment. How could he bear to leave a wealthy heiress like you? Hasn't he always come back every time? Wealthy heiress, money? Angelina paused blankly. Maybe you're all right. He's with me for my money. Then she mumbled. Sometimes I really get annoyed. He's always trying to control me. I don't even mind that he's poor. Angelina, Hank sighed. I'll be honest with you. Don't take it the wrong way. You've spoiled him. We've all told you to set some ground rules. Who can you blame but yourself if you can't bear to do it? And stop worrying about whether he's with you for your money. Look at how he's got you wrapped around his finger. Even if it is for the money, you can't bear to break up with him anyway. So why make yourself miserable thinking about it? As he spoke, they entered the pub's accessible toilet together. With a click, the door locked from the inside. My stomach churned again. I turned and left. Perhaps it was because I'd been out in the evening breeze, but by midnight I'd developed a fever. In my hazy state, I seemed to dream of the past I shared with Angelina Roberts. We grew up together in the orphanage. I was a sickly child, and Angelina was like my guiding light. She would run barefoot to find a doctor when I was ill, hold my hand and say in her childish voice, "Don't worry, Calvin. I'll be with you forever." During a fire at the orphanage, she had been rescued but ran back in to save me as I lay with a high fever. Her shoulder was burned by falling embers, leaving a permanent scar. I wondered then, what kind of love could be more important than one's own life? I had no parents, no relatives. Angelina was the person who cared for me most in this world. So I told myself, Calvin Harrison, you must always be good to Angelina Roberts. When we were 16, Angelina's birth parents found her. It turned out she was the long-lost heiress of the Roberts family. They took her back, and suddenly she was wealthy. But she didn't forget me. She would secretly come to my secondary school to see me, and we made a pact to attend the same university. We did indeed end up at the same university. We were the most envied couple on campus, and it was at this time that Hank Thomas entered our lives. Hank was a minor internet celebrity in the university town, known for his fitness videos and impressive physique. He was always surrounded by female friends. The Roberts Group had significant business interests in our area, and I could see what these so-called friends surrounding Angelina were really after, having experienced the harsh realities of life. I warned Angelina more than once, but she dismissed my concerns. On the contrary, she enjoyed being the center of attention. After we officially started dating at university, Angelina took me to meet the Roberts family. She knelt before her parents and declared she would only ever marry me. Mr. Roberts had a kind face and was particularly indulgent towards Angelina, but he was exceptionally harsh with me. In his eyes, I, an orphan of unknown origin, was not worthy of the Roberts family. When her parents disapproved, Angelina stood in the rain outside their mansion all night. The next day, she was hospitalized with pneumonia, her fever reaching 40 degrees. I was heartbroken for Angelina. To avoid putting her in a difficult position between me and her parents, I tried my best to please them. At the Roberts home, I felt like a commodity, constantly scrutinized, critiqued, and commented on by haughty gazes. I never told Angelina about this. I didn't want her to worry about my relationship with her family. After university, I had received a promising job offer. The boss appreciated me, and with hard work, the prospects were excellent. But the Roberts family wouldn't allow it. They insisted I work for the Roberts Group. That time, Angelina and I had a huge argument. She said I was being too stubborn and flew into a rage. "I don't understand. I'm going to inherit the Roberts Group one day. Why won't you come and help me? What are you thinking? Calvin, why are you always so selfish? Do you know how hard I've worked to get my family to accept you? Why can't you be a little more understanding?" As she spoke, she began to cry. "That year, I risked my life to save you. Can't you compromise just a little for me?" So I gave in again. At Roberts Group, I had to endure Mr. Roberts' deliberate difficulties, accept his constant criticism, and always be mindful of my words and actions to avoid giving others any reason to find fault. My performance was excellent, but despite this, he refused to give me any opportunity for promotion. "Young man, don't place so much importance on position and money. I'm giving you the most valuable opportunity for growth. You're my future son-in-law. My strictness and harshness are to help you grow. If I promote you, others will gossip. Instead of thinking about these things, why don't you focus on taking good care of my daughter? For Angelina's sake, I endured it all. Because she had saved my life, because she had once been so incredibly good to me, because she was the only light in my life. Whenever I thought of how she had once braved everything, even risking her life for me, whenever I saw the scar on her shoulder from saving me, no matter how fierce our arguments, I would always find a reason to make up with her. I asked for nothing else, only hoping that we could go on together for a long time. But it wasn't until today that I understood. It turns out she thought I wouldn't leave her because I couldn't bear to part with her money. Turns out she was so tired of me. This deliberate test today wasn't the first time. And perhaps the reason I went to deliver the alcohol was to give my dying heart one last push. In my dream, the sunny girl from my memories seemed to stand behind me, waving and calling out happily, "Calvin, wait for me. Let's go together." But I no longer wanted to go with her. I walked forward step by step, until I reached the edge of the setting sun, and when I looked back, the figure from my memories had long been washed away by the rain, disappearing without a trace, as if it had never existed at all. I woke up the next day, my fever gone. Though my body still felt weak, I opened my suitcase and began packing my belongings. At that moment, the flat door opened, and Hank Thomas's voice carried through the bedroom door. "Angie, darling, we're still on for the football match this afternoon, right? I've got a Manchester United jersey for you." Angelina Roberts let out a shy in response. I paused while folding my clothes. Today was supposed to be the day Angelina had promised to accompany me to meet my birth parents. A week ago, someone from the orphanage contacted me, saying they might have found my biological parents. They requested a hair sample for DNA testing, and today was the day we'd get the results. When I first received the news, I felt nervous and uneasy. Angelina had promised to come with me, but after just a few days, she'd forgotten and was going to watch a football match with someone else. The bedroom door creaked open. It was Angelina. "What are you doing?" She frowned, looking at me packing. "I don't have time to go on holiday with you right now." "You don't need to come," I said. "We broke up last night. I'm moving out today." "Ha ha." She was stunned for a moment, then suddenly laughed. "Calvin, they all say I've spoiled you too much. I didn't believe it before. But now, look at what you've become. Threatening to break up at the drop of a hat? Are you so sure I can't live without you?" She crouched down and pushed my hand away from the suitcase in disgust. "That's enough. Wasn't last night's show of power sufficient? Using the drinks as an excuse to embarrass me in front of everyone, deliberately making things difficult for Hank. Aren't you satisfied yet?" A surge of anger suddenly rose in my chest. I looked up, meeting her gaze. "Angelina, first, I told you I wasn't feeling well, but you insisted I serve the drinks. Second, you kissed Hank first and he came over to talk to me first. I was being nice by not hitting him. Third, you're the one who said we should break up." I shook off her hand and zipped up my suitcase. "I've never been certain you couldn't live without me, and I'm not the one who can't live without you. What's the point of all this?" Her voice rose. "Do I owe you or something?" She started to lose her temper. "Calvin, don't you know in your heart how good I've been to you? I would have given my life for you back then. Last night, I just wanted you to serve some drinks, to see how much you really cared about me. And I got my answer." She grabbed my arm. "Do you know what my girlfriends say about you behind your back? They all say I'm a fool, that you're just after my money. Can't you prove them wrong? But what have you done? I've given you so much. What have you done for me? What's wrong with me wanting to verify things for myself?" I remained silent, which only fueled her anger. "I really did love the wrong person. You really want to break up, don't you? I won't stop you. Let's end it then. Before you walk out that door, you'd better think carefully. The position of a Roberts son-in-law won't be held open forever." I looked up, into her eyes, dulled from last night's drinking. In the past, through those eyes, I saw a beautiful history, mutual support, sweet love, and a future full of hope. Now I could only see a wasteland. "Angelina, you've succeeded," I said. "What?" She was taken aback. "Angelina, you've finally succeeded. You've succeeded in making me sick of this relationship, succeeded in making me stop loving you." I left the flat. I hadn't found a new place to live yet, nor did I have a job. I spent half the day at the McDonald's on the corner. Just moments ago, the DNA test results came in. Tonight, I would meet my biological parents. Before, Angelina Roberts had said that parents who would abandon their child at birth couldn't be from a good family. Now that they were seeking me out, it was probably because they knew about my relationship with her and wanted to take advantage of the Roberts' money and resources. But now, Angelina and I had broken up, and I wondered if they would be disappointed when they met me. I didn't really know what family meant. Angelina used to say she was my family, and her family was my family too. But with these so-called family members, I only felt exhausted and tormented. The sunset today was beautiful, with clouds rolling across the sky, bathed in a warm golden light. I sat by the window, watching the sun slowly sink, and finally picked up my suitcase and walked out of McDonald's. The meeting place was at a restaurant not far away. I was pulling my suitcase, about to cross the road, when a motorbike suddenly sped towards us from a distance. In an instant, a girl standing in front couldn't dodge in time. I quickly pulled her, and the momentum spun us around with the suitcase. The motorbike whizzed past, brushing against her skirt. "Are you all right?" I asked. She shook her head and hurriedly thanked me. "It's fine. There are a lot of motorbikes around here. You have to be careful whether you're walking or driving." I smiled, but she froze. Are you Calvin?" I was stunned too. "I'm Calvin Harrison. You are?" "Your cousin's wife's sister," she smiled. "You look so much like Uncle Robert who needs DNA. The Lloyds have been tricked too many times. They're overly cautious. But there have been quite a few scammers with plastic surgery trying to claim kinship before. So it's understandable," she sighed. "Let's go." She enthusiastically led the way. "There are too many gossipy people in the Lloyd group, so meeting at a Collins Group restaurant today is also to protect you. I've cleared everyone out, don't worry." "You mentioned Lloyd Group, Collins Group." She thought for a moment, then exclaimed, "Oh, I forgot you don't know yet." She smiled. "You're the only son of the second son of the Lloyd Group. I'm Emily Collins from the Collins Group. My sister Millie married your cousin, so our two families are in-laws. Lloyd, Collins." Before I could react, I found myself at the entrance of the restaurant with Emily. A group of people were standing at the door, anxiously looking in our direction. Suddenly, a beautiful, elegant woman rushed over and embraced me. "Is it Calvin? Is it my Calvin?" she cried uncontrollably. "It really is our child, Robert. Our child has come back to us." Behind her, a tall, distinguished-looking man approached, his eyes reddening. "Yes, our child has returned." I looked at the face before me, which bore a striking resemblance to my own, and felt my eyes begin to water. "Mr. Lloyd, Mrs. Lynham, let's go inside," Emily said softly from beside us. Today, the orphanage director and the police were also present. They jointly recounted the process of finding me. It turned out that after Narcissa gave birth to me, she had hired a nanny named Lorinda Johnston. Narcissa fell ill for a while after I was born, and Lorinda, seeing that Narcissa was unwell, actually tried to seduce my biological father, Robert Lloyd, relying on her good looks. Robert didn't fall for her tricks, and Lorinda, humiliated and angry, snuck back after being fired and stole me away. The technology wasn't as advanced then as it is now, and even though the Lloyds had money, they searched for a long time but couldn't find Lorinda. It wasn't until 6 months later that the police discovered Lorinda's and an infant's clothes and shoes on an undeveloped beach, along with a suicide note she had left. In the note, she said that if she couldn't have Robert Lloyd, she would make sure he never forgot her. So she took his child to die with her. The police later found Lorinda's body in the sea, but they never found mine. They assumed I had probably been eaten by fish. Over the years, although most people had accepted that I had perished, my parents never gave up hope. Robert and Narcissa never had another child. They clung to a sliver of hope, searching and waiting. But Lorinda hadn't actually killed me back then. Perhaps it was the last shred of kindness in her heart. Or maybe it was her desire to cruelly satisfy some notion of her own. But she left me at the door of an orphanage in the neighboring county, with a note saying my name was Calvin Johnston, and that my mother couldn't raise me because she was unmarried when she got pregnant. Johnston was her surname. Later, that orphanage caught fire, and we children were all sent to another orphanage. But because there was a record of my background, that my birth mother's surname was Johnston, naturally no one ever thought I might be the Lloyd family's young master who had supposedly died shortly after birth. For all these years, I had been in the same city as my biological parents, yet we had never met. Until recently, when a charity project by the Collins Group brought Emily Collins to chat with the director of my former orphanage about the fire from years ago. The director dug out an old group photo of the children, and Emily noticed that I looked very much like a young Robert Lloyd. She had her suspicions and told the Lloyd family about it. Over the years, the Lloyds had dealt with too many imposters showing up claiming to be their long-lost child, some even bribing hospitals to forge DNA reports, all in an attempt to inherit Robert and Narcissa's vast fortune after their passing. So this time they were as anxious as I was, but didn't dare to hope too much. Although they were desperate to meet me, they held back until now, fearing that the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment might be. That evening, I returned home with my parents. My uncle and cousin's family were also there. Dad asked me, "Calvin, we heard from the orphanage director that you've been dating the Roberts' daughter. Is that true?" I hesitated. We don't mean anything by it," he quickly added. "Although the Roberts aren't quite as well off as us. If you like her, your mum and I support you." I shook my head. "Dad, Mum, we've already broken up." Dad asked if I had any plans for the future, and if I'd be willing to learn how to manage the company. Of course I was willing. Becoming a successful entrepreneur had always been my dream. It's just that this dream had been suppressed by the Roberts family. They never gave me opportunities at their company, only wanting me to be an obedient son-in-law. A few days later, my cousin Aubrey Lloyd came to see me, with Emily Collins present as well. Aubrey mentioned that my dad's health hasn't been great in recent years. The mental strain of searching for me for years, coupled with work pressure, had weighed heavily on him. Doctors had long advised him to retire and rest. I had actually noticed signs of this from his graying temples. Although he's 5 years younger than my uncle, he looked much older. "Calvin, Lloyd Group currently has 2 main business sectors. One is under my management and the other is with your dad. The part your dad oversees will eventually be handed over to you," Aubrey said. He then asked me, "Are you willing to start taking over gradually now?" I nodded. "I am." Emily, who had been silent until then, suddenly chimed in. "I'm not too busy lately, so I can help out as well." So I started working at Lloyd Group, but initially concealed my identity, taking on the role of executive assistant. Emily Collins also joined Lloyd Group, becoming my partner. At first glance, she seemed like an idle rich girl. But as you get to know her, you'll realize that's just a facade. She's actually a formidable manager. We negotiated together, met clients together, and attended meetings together. She appeared casual, yet often managed to strike at the opponent's weak points effortlessly during lighthearted conversations. She seemed indifferent to many things, but always maintained control of the big picture with ease. After work, we'd spend time reviewing and simulating different negotiation scenarios, then brainstorm response strategies. Her keen observation skills were a great help to me, and when I was tired, she'd playfully urge me to rest. "There's no need to push yourself when you're exhausted," she'd laugh. As a wise person once said, "Rest is necessary to go further." "Who said that?" I asked wide-eyed. She winked. I forgot their name, but I think it makes a lot of sense." Spending time with Emily brought a relaxed comfort, and my perpetually tense and weary heart seemed to ease and unwind under her influence. During this period, with her companionship, I learned a great deal at Lloyd Group and grew rapidly. Soon, a month passed by in the midst of our busy schedules. One afternoon, I unexpectedly ran into Angelina Roberts and Hank Thomas at the Collins Group shopping center. Emily's birthday was next week, and I wanted to pick out a birthday gift as a thank you for her help. But she really doesn't need anything, and even this shopping center belongs to her family. After much deliberation, I finally chose a lucky charm. At least it's a gesture of goodwill. As I passed by several luxury brand counters, I suddenly heard Hank Thomas's voice. "You should get this perfume for your mom. She'll definitely love it." The shopping center was quite empty at lunchtime, and when I turned around, the 2 of them at the counter had already spotted me. Angelina Roberts looked rather dispirited, but a spark seemed to flash in her eyes when she saw me. Calvin. Hank Thomas glanced at Angelina Roberts, then at the bag I was carrying, and immediately walked over with a smile. "Mate, are you here to buy a birthday gift for your mum too?" he exclaimed. "Oh my, this gift. Listen to me, this won't do. Buy something more upscale, I'll teach you. A man needs to give something impressive for his mum to like it." Hearing Hank Thomas's words, Angelina Roberts also lifted her chin slightly. "Where have you been for the past month?" She frowned. "Don't think I'll forgive you just because you bought some trinket." As she spoke, her gaze fell on my work badge. "What's this?" Executive office." The temporary badge had no name, and Hank Thomas read the words on my badge aloud, covering his mouth as he laughed. "Mate, how did you end up as a receptionist at Lloyd Group?" "Temp work." Angelina Roberts's frown deepened. "Where I work is none of your concern," I said coolly, turning to leave. "Come on, mate, that's not right. Why are you sulking like a girl?" Hank Thomas grabbed me, looking up at Angelina Roberts with concern. "Even if you're upset, you can't ignore Angie." Just then, Angelina Roberts spoke up. "Hank, wait for me over there for a moment." Hank Thomas hesitated, then reluctantly walked away with his hands in his pockets. Angelina Roberts came over and snatched the gift box from my hand. "A grown man working as a receptionist? Aren't you ashamed enough?" she said angrily. "Stop this nonsense. Move back home immediately, and Mum's already upset that you haven't been to the company for so long." "I should have sent in my resignation letter already," I said calmly. "I suppressed your resignation letter." "Do you really want to make things irreparable?" she retorted. "What if Mum and Dad refuse to let you in the door later? How will you make amends? Do you think they'll forgive you just because you bought this worthless charm?" "Angelina Roberts," I interrupted coldly, snatching the box back. "We've broken up. How many times do I have to tell you? The charm is for someone else. It has nothing to do with your mother." But she still held onto my hand. "Why are you being so stubborn? What a coincidence. Let go of me." "Calvin." I turned around to see Emily approaching with another assistant. Angelina Roberts saw Emily and froze. You're Miss Collins from Collins Group?" Emily turned her head and looked at her coolly. "And you are?" "I'm Angelina Roberts from Roberts Group." Angelina Roberts hurriedly offered her business card. "My parents contacted you earlier, hoping to collaborate with Collins Group in household products to become your company's distributor. Our bidding for this year has already concluded." Emily smiled politely. "If your company is interested, you can bid again next year." "Miss Collins, could you please reconsider our company?" Angelina Roberts looked panicked. "My parents know you enjoy traveling, and they'd like to invite you." "Miss Roberts," Emily interrupted her, "my personal preferences have nothing to do with company decisions." Miss Collins, Lloyd Group's receptionist Calvin Harrison is the boyfriend of the Roberts heiress." Hank Thomas, who had somehow approached, suddenly shouted. Everyone was stunned. Angelina Roberts frowned at Hank Thomas in confusion, while he stepped forward with a smile. "Miss Collins, Roberts Group is truly sincere. Knowing your family's good relationship with the Lloyds, they sent Calvin to work as a receptionist at Lloyd Group to impress you. They're hoping you could give Roberts Group a chance. Right, Calvin?" Emily paused, looking at me. "Ex-boyfriend," I corrected. "Miss Collins." Angelina Roberts seemed to have caught on to Hank Thomas's intention and immediately put on a smile. "Calvin's just joking with you, we haven't broken up. He came specially today to buy a birthday gift for my mum. Calvin may not be skilled at many things, but we genuinely want to connect with you. It's been such a shame that Collins Group hasn't collaborated with Roberts Group all these years. I'm not asking about ex-girlfriends or ex-boyfriends." Emily ignored her and turned to ask me directly, "Since when did you become a receptionist at Lloyd Group?" Before I could speak, Hank Thomas interrupted. "Huh? Calvin, how is this fake? Forging a work badge? That's..." Angelina Roberts's face also gradually darkened. "Miss Collins, actually I just wanted to..." I understand Miss Roberts's intention. You want to discuss collaboration, right? Emily waved her hand. Collins Group's bidding has ended this year, but Lloyd Group hasn't yet. Why don't you talk to Lloyd Group's executive assistant first? Angelina Roberts's face lit up with joy. Sure. Sure. Who is the assistant? This gentleman here is Lloyd Group's executive assistant. Emily looked at me. Since you already know each other, I won't need to introduce you. She didn't forget to remind them. But he's very busy. Remember to make an appointment in advance. A few days later, Angelina Roberts sat across from me with a grim expression, having agreed to meet at the appointed time. I didn't want to make things difficult for her, but setting emotions aside, this was a valuable practical experience. Maintaining a professional attitude, I began discussing the issues in the materials with her, but she suddenly interrupted me. How did you become the executive assistant at Lloyd Group? She demanded. I replied coolly, we're discussing business matters. What did you sell out? She raised her voice. What? I was taken aback. Even Oxbridge graduates struggle to get entry-level positions at Lloyd Group. You only had menial experience at Roberts Group after graduation. How could you suddenly be hired as an executive assistant? She grabbed my arm, her eyes reddening. I saved you back then and protected you all these years. Loving you. Was it all so you could warm another woman's bed? Let go. I frowned. I won't. She clung to me desperately, trying to burrow into my arms. Have you forgotten? You're mine. You've always been mine. Don't think I can't see that Emily Collins fancies you. Her eyes are just like all those other girls who liked you before. She arranged for you to join Lloyd Group to avoid suspicion. Didn't she? What right does Emily have to have you? Has she ever saved you? She's just a bit richer than me. Calvin, open your eyes. She can have any man she wants. She's just playing with you. When she gets bored, she'll toss you aside like rubbish. No woman in this world can treat you better than I can. Wake up, Angelina Roberts, I said sternly. We'll go resign right now. After Mum's birthday, we'll get married. So what if we offend Collins Group and Lloyd Group? We'll never do business with them again. Let go. I shook her hand off. She turned, her eyes now completely red. I truly love you. Why can't you understand that? I looked at her calmly. We've already broken up. Why can't you understand that? What breakup? We just had a fight. I shook my head. Angelina, it's not that you don't understand. You're just used to it. All these years, every time we broke up, I always came back to you. But this time it's different. I handed the documents back to her. I've noted all the issues with Roberts Group's business on there. I'm afraid it won't meet Lloyd Group's requirements. The same goes for us. We can't go back. It's over. After Angelina Roberts left, I sat alone in the conference room for a long time. Saying we can't go back out loud was just as devastating for me as it was for her. The girl I once cherished and loved so much had finally come to this point with me. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Angelina Roberts. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have asked you to take me home that night when I was drunk. I only realized later that you had a fever when I saw the paracetamol by your bed. Calvin, I don't care what happened between you and Emily during this time. As long as you come back, I'm still yours. Come back, please. I'm your Angelina. If you don't respond, I'll keep trying to reach you until you change your mind. Calvin, after all these years together, you can't possibly let me go. Finally, she sent a photo. It was of the scar on her shoulder. Suddenly, I felt incredibly frustrated, as if there was a wet cotton ball stuck in my throat. I blocked Angelina Roberts. As the sun set, the city lights began to twinkle outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting a bustling scene. So this is where you are? The door opened, and I turned to see Emily Collins. She walked over to me. I heard you met with Angelina Roberts today? Did it not go well? I nodded. I intended to keep it strictly professional, but emotions got the better of me. I think you handled it quite well, she said, sitting down next to me. After all, we're not robots. My mom always told me that when you're in a management position, Many people will try to influence your emotions and decisions. It's a hurdle you have to overcome. I know. Well, I'm not in the best mood today either, she said, resting her head on the table. I looked at her dejected expression. Would you like to go out for a bit? Emily somehow managed to procure 2 bicycles. She led me through the summer night, cycling through the streets and alleys, sampling various street foods. At each stop, I felt like a pet being fed. Fish and chips, sausage rolls, Scotch eggs, kebabs. As I watched Emily happily eating across from me, I couldn't help but ask, why do I feel like you don't seem to have any worries? How could I not? She smiled, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. I have plenty of worries. My sister is very successful, so for a while, I was quite anxious, afraid I wouldn't be as well regarded as her. And then I realized that I don't actually need their approval. You just need to focus on being the best version of yourself, and they'll naturally come to respect you. I smiled. You're right. That makes a lot of sense. She smiled back. I knew you'd understand. Her gaze fell on a basketball court not far away. Calvin, do you play basketball? I'm good at basketball. Actually, I'm quite decent at it. But back in university, there were always girls coming to watch me play, even competing to bring me water. Angelina Roberts wasn't happy about it. We had a few arguments, so I stopped playing. Now, it's just the 2 of us on the basketball court. Emily Collins has been doing ballet since she was little and has never played basketball before. Like this, raise your arms, yes. Aim now. I correct her posture. Why do you like playing basketball? She asks curiously. Because it looks cool, I say, helping her adjust her stance. Have you ever watched Slam Dunk? She shakes her head. I used to think all the main characters in anime and TV dramas were great at basketball, so I practiced hard, imagining myself as one of them. But later, playing basketball became my most direct way of relieving stress. The intense competition, the thrilling struggle for the ball, it often makes you forget other worries and focus on the present. It's a shame I haven't played in a long time. Just then, Emily raises her arms and shoots. With a clang, the ball actually goes in. She's so excited, jumping up and down. Seeing her happy makes me feel better too. Emily, would you like to watch Slam Dunk? I take Emily to a drive-in cinema in the outskirts. The cinema is showing Slam Dunk. I didn't know basketball could be so interesting, Emily says, still caught up in the excitement after the film ends. When I was younger, I loved Hanamichi Sakuragi the most, and I still do, I say. This film has different opinions from many people. Some don't understand why they made Miyagi the main character. I'm a bit disappointed too, but I understand the author's intention. We all hope to be a genius like Sakuragi, but most of us are like Miyagi, working our way up from being ordinary. As long as you be yourself and never give up, you'll have a chance to make that game-winning shot. Even if you don't score, just being on the court means you have no regrets, doesn't it? I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. You sound like a philosopher, Emily says, blinking. Her words make me laugh. You're too quick to believe what others say. It's easy to be fooled by men like that. She snorts. No way. But her next words come out in a suddenly lower voice. I only believe the ones I like. A week later, I began to independently manage some company affairs, starting with taking over a golf club owned by my family. That day at the club, my assistant Edmund told me someone was asking to see me outside. Me? I asked. Yes, Mr. Roberts heard from somewhere that your father had handed the club over to you. He's here with a gift and insists on seeing you, Edmund explained. I frowned. When I went out, sure enough, it was Angelina's father. He was holding a box, and the ingratiating smile on his face disappeared the moment he saw me. Calvin Harrison? What are you doing here? He exclaimed, his eyes widening. A couple of days ago, Hank told me you were working as a doorman at Lloyd Group, but I didn't believe it. I can't believe you'd come to embarrass yourself at someone else's golf club. I've always told Angelina you were no good, he sneered. taking out his camera to snap a photo. Now I've caught you red-handed. Don't think you can schmooze your way into this club's membership. It's very exclusive, not for just any Tom, Dick, or Harry. I looked at him calmly, sitting down at the tea table and pouring myself a cup. Indeed, it's not for just anyone. Otherwise, Mr. Roberts wouldn't have had his application rejected 10 times. I remarked. What did you say? He sputtered, raising his hand angrily. Calvin Harrison, let me tell you, with your current situation, I'll never agree to you entering the Roberts family. Entering the Roberts family? I sipped my tea leisurely. Mr. Roberts, perhaps you should focus on why you can't enter this club first? You! At that moment, Edmund came over with Mr. Roberts' application documents. Oh, it's Edmund. Mr. Roberts' face immediately lit up with a smile. Is our young Mr. Lloyd not out yet? Edmund looked at me, then back at Mr. Roberts. This is our young Mr. Lloyd, he said, confused. What? The smile froze on his face as he looked between Edmund and me. Edmund, you must be joking. Why would I joke with you? Edmund asked, perplexed. Our Mr. Lloyd is quite busy today but made time especially to interview you. Mr. Lloyd, he turned to me. Do you need any more documents? No, that won't be necessary, I said, tossing the documents on the table as I stood up. The interview is over. Wait a moment. After a while, Mr. Roberts seemed to realize something and suddenly chased after me, grabbing my sleeve. Calvin, he forced a smile. Look at this misunderstanding. We're all family here, after all. I pulled my hand from his grasp. Mr. Roberts, you seem to have a short memory. Didn't you just say you'd never agree to me entering the Roberts family? Oh, come now. What nonsense. We've known each other for so long. I've always thought of you as my own son. I'm sorry. A cool voice sounded from behind us. My son isn't looking to adopt fathers left and right. I turned around. Dad. My father walked over imposingly, an aura of frost around him. You're Mr. Roberts, aren't you? My son's ex-girlfriend's father. The one who had my son serving tea and running errands at your company for the past few years. Mr. Roberts froze. It's all a misunderstanding. I've always treated Calvin like a son-in-law. My Lloyd family's son won't be anyone's live-in son-in-law, my father said. He was already a head taller than Mr. Roberts, and now he looked down at him like a king. Of course, if that's the Roberts family custom, and you're willing to come serve tea at the club every day, I might consider letting you become a low-tier member based on your performance. Mr. Roberts stammered and eventually fled with his gift in tow. Look into those who are close to him. If any of them have memberships at our club, cancel them all. My father ordered coldly, then turned to pat my shoulder. Calvin, I'm sorry. If only I had found you earlier. I shook my head and gave him a hug. In truth, I had already gained the most precious thing in the world. After all, what could be more valuable than family who stand behind you unconditionally? No matter what, those distant people and events no longer mattered. I only hoped to grow up quickly and become someone they could rely on in the future. I hadn't seen Emily for several days due to being busy with the golf club affairs. After having lunch with my mum that day, I headed to Colin's group. When I arrived, I noticed everyone at Colin's group was whispering amongst themselves. You don't know yet, do you, Calvin? The executive assistant, who knew me and my identity, quietly said to me, We're all talking about that temp worker. Miss Millie has been helping Miss Emily recently, so she's been at the company these days. We needed to organize some files the other day, so we hired a few temp workers from an outsourcing company. One of the male workers is quite something. Ever since he saw Miss Millie, his eyes have been glued to her. That's not all. This guy deliberately wears tight clothes and keeps running to the office with coffee, for no apparent reason. The problem is, Miss Millie seems to be falling for his act. He clicked his tongue twice. This Miss Millie, it seems she can't escape being ordinary after all. Just then, the CEO's office door opened. The executive assistant made a shush gesture to me and nodded towards that direction. Emily walked out first, followed by Hank Thomas in his tight-fitting clothes. Seeing me, Emily smiled and said, "Calvin, you're here. Come join me for lunch with a client." I nodded. Hank glanced at me and quickly took a few steps forward, rushing to stand next to Emily. The journey was silent, with only the sound of Hank's tight clothes rubbing against each other. At the restaurant's private room, Hank once again sat down next to Emily of his own accord, his eyes gleaming as he said, "Miss Collins, can we order king crab later?" Emily smiled. "We'll order the main dishes when the client arrives." At that moment, the door opened, and both Hank and I were stunned. It was Angelina Roberts. "Hank Thomas." Angelina was equally surprised to see Hank. "What are you doing here?" Hank was stunned for a moment, but was quickly interrupted by Emily. "Let's order the food." Suddenly, the TV in the private room turned on. The screen showed Emily's office, with Hank attentively placing a cup of coffee in front of her. "Aren't you Miss Roberts' friend?" Emily's voice could be heard. "Actually, I'm not that close to Miss Roberts. She's pursuing me, but I haven't agreed. After all, Calvin and her are a couple. I never become a third wheel, and besides, I don't like her. Miss Collins, to be honest, I don't really approve of Angelina Roberts' character. The other day at the shopping center when she kept pestering you, I thought it was really embarrassing. Roberts Group still has some core technology. Didn't they apply for a patent for a confidential technology recently?" Emily tilted her head. "Miss Collins." Hank leaned closer. "Actually, if you're interested in that technology from Roberts Group, I could help you." The video ended there. Emily tossed a sealed envelope across the table. "I haven't opened this envelope, so its contents are unknown. To be honest, if Collins Group wanted to develop this technology, it would be quite simple. But that's not our focus, nor are we interested." She touched the lucky charm I had given her on her wrist, speaking slowly. "If Mr. Thomas was deliberately sent to me by Miss Roberts, then I admire Miss Roberts' courage and scheming. However, I'm afraid Miss Roberts doesn't understand me very well. I'm really not interested in such sleazy men. If Mr. Thomas wasn't sent by Miss Roberts, then I also admire Miss Roberts' courage. To be able to casually give away something so crucial to one's livelihood, I certainly couldn't do that, nor could I compare." Angelina clutched the envelope tightly, finally managing to utter a sentence after a long while. "I didn't send him to Collins Group. Thank you, Miss Collins, for returning the envelope today. No need for thanks. Just consider it a favor owed. You're the CEO's daughter. How could you do such a despicable thing as recording?" Hank's voice trembled. Emily laughed. "Oh, you didn't even know what kind of person I am or what equipment I have in my office, yet you dared to come and talk to me? Besides, my mother taught me from a young age never to drink anything handed to me by strangers." She turned to Angelina with a half-smile. "Okay, I've said what needed to be said. Miss Roberts, I don't care how you and your brother here resolve this afterwards, but take some advice, be careful who you befriend in the future." Hank's face turned stiffly towards Angelina. "Angie, I'm not." "Shut up." Angelina's voice trembled slightly with anger. Emily stood up, pulling me along as we walked out. "Miss Collins, you're the one who's been deceived by him, don't you know?" Hank suddenly stood up, shouting shrilly. "Calvin is just a gold digger with ulterior motives. He used to scam money from Angelina, and now he's scamming you. You're blinded by him, you're just a big fool. Don't you know that?" Emily paused for a moment, then chuckled softly. "Is that so?" She turned back. "If it's him, then I'm willing." Hank looked at her in disbelief, and at that moment, Angelina's phone suddenly rang. "Mum, what is it? Can we talk later?" "What? You're saying Calvin's parents are who?" She turned to look at me dumbfoundedly, her hand holding the phone starting to tremble slightly. After hanging up the phone, she seemed to be in a daze. "No, it can't be, can it? My mum says you're the young master of the Lloyd family. But Calvin, aren't you surnamed Harrison? The Lloyd family's young master? The rumored little Mr. Lloyd who's going to take over half of the Lloyd family's assets." Hank was stunned at the same time. There must be some mistake. His surname is Harrison. I haven't used the surname Harrison for a long time, I said calmly. My surname is Lloyd. Calvin Lloyd. As I left the private dining room, I could still faintly hear Angelina Roberts' sobs and the sound of their argument. There seemed to be the noise of glasses breaking as well. I frowned and called for the restaurant manager. Go check what's been damaged later and make sure they pay for everything at full price. That evening, the Lloyd Group was hosting a business dinner, mainly to introduce me to London's business community. Everything was going smoothly until the media interview segment, when suddenly there was a commotion at the entrance. It was Mr. and Mrs. Roberts. Mr. Roberts claimed that Angelina had attempted suicide. I'm begging you, young Mr. Lloyd. Angelina saved your life years ago, he cried, bursting in and kneeling before me in front of all the reporters. You can't just abandon her now that you've reconnected with your wealthy family. She's loved you for so many years. If you reject her, she'll really kill herself. Mrs. Roberts was wailing loudly. Reporters were snapping photos left and right, and the scene descended into chaos. In the rest area, my family and Emily Collins were present. Calvin, don't worry. You don't need to go to the hospital. Mum and Dad will handle this, my father said. We've already spoken to the media. No photos from today will be released, Aubrey Lloyd added. Calvin's had a long day. Why don't you rest for a bit? I raised my eyes and met Emily's gaze from across the room. I shook my head. Dad, brother, now that I'm taking over Lloyd Group, I shouldn't rely on you to solve my problems. This situation arose because of me. I'll put an end to it myself. In the hospital room, Angelina Roberts lay pale on the bed. When she saw me, she grabbed my wrist. Calvin, she cried, tears streaming down her face. I knew you'd come. I knew you wouldn't abandon me. Angelina, when you say you can't leave me, is it because of the Lloyd family's money? I asked coldly. She froze. What are you saying? She looked as if she'd been deeply wronged. How could you think that of me, Calvin? My feelings for you have nothing to do with the Lloyd family's money. So you knew saying that would hurt me? The air grew heavy with silence. She suddenly became flustered. Calvin, I pried her fingers off my wrist, one by one. Angelina, I came here to make you understand that you and I are truly over. She stared at me blankly. True love doesn't need tests or demands for equal returns. It's about unconditional trust and willing sacrifice. When you doubted our relationship because of a few words from others, when you knowingly maintained ambiguous relationships with other men, when you repeatedly blamed me for the breakdown of our relationship, that's when it ended. That's the real reason we can't be together. So you've wanted to break up with me for a long time, haven't you? Her voice was choked with tears. I know lots of girls like you. You never really loved me. But I love you more than my own life. That's right. Angelina's mother suddenly burst in, wailing. My daughter saved your life. Who in this world could love you more than her? How can you be so heartless? My father and uncle stepped forward to block Mrs. Roberts. Angelina, you always say you saved Calvin's life, but we've checked the records from that day. You did run in, but you immediately encountered 2 firefighters who had already rescued Calvin. Calvin was unconscious then. When he woke up, you told him you had saved him, deliberately concealing the firefighter's role. Due to the chaos at the time, and because you both left for the Oceanside orphanage afterwards, you've managed to keep this hidden all this time. You were just afraid he'd leave you, so you've used this to make him feel indebted and guilty towards you all along. Mrs. Roberts was stunned. What? That's impossible. My daughter would never lie. We found both firefighters. Shall we bring them here to talk to your daughter? My uncle said coldly. My father stepped forward and said gravely, my son didn't want me to come today, but I'm here to say a few words to the Roberts family. The Lloyd family motto has always been to treat others with kindness. Calvin inherited this trait. He understands gratitude, reason, and kindness. But that's not an excuse for you to deceive him. If the Roberts family really wants to discuss this, Then let's sit down and go through everything that's happened over the years, one by one. How you've used this supposed debt to manipulate him, even forcing him to stay with Robert's group. Did you really think we didn't know about all that? Emily Collins then turned to face Angelina. Angelina, you've never dared to face the truth, because you've always been a coward. You're afraid that even if you clip his wings, you still can't keep him. You're afraid you're not good enough for him. But he was never a little bird that could be kept in a cage. How could a cage ever contain an eagle soaring in the sky? I paused, then stepped forward. Angelina, stop playing games with your life. This is the last time I'll come here. Whether you live or die, it has nothing to do with me anymore. Goodbye. I turned and left. Mrs. Roberts collapsed to the ground, mumbling, "How could this happen?" As for Angelina, she just sat there on the bed, staring blankly, even as we walked out. After that, I arranged for the company's PR team to suppress the gossip media's speculative reports about Angelina Roberts and me, and issued a statement. The Roberts family, still not giving up, contacted the Lloyd family several times, but neither my family nor I responded further. I busied myself learning the management of Lloyd Group's subsidiaries and gradually took over several new ventures. It was like breaking through a thick layer of ice to discover a vast ocean to explore. The first success often leads to a second, a third. Slowly, I began to see genuine respect and recognition in the faces of my colleagues at the company. I was getting closer to my dream, gradually becoming the Mr. Lloyd who could stand on his own. That evening, Emily Collins invited me to join her at the basketball court. She could now successfully make three-point shots. As we were resting by the court, I suddenly produced a bouquet of vibrant red flowers. "I've been wanting to tell you something," I said, reciting the lines I had prepared. "Don't you think we look rather like we belong to the same family?" "What?" she responded, puzzled. I sighed. "I know this opening might sound a bit cliché, but it's my first time confessing to a girl, and it took me days to come up with it." She stared at me, bewildered. I handed her the bouquet. "Emily, in the past, I was so beaten down that I lost confidence in myself. But it's like basketball, isn't it? You have to be brave enough to raise the ball and take a shot if you want any chance of scoring, right? A good partner doesn't keep you stagnant or trap you in a cage, but walks alongside you towards progress. So, what do you say?" She looked at me for a moment, then suddenly jumped up and hugged me around the neck. "You know what?" she whispered in my ear. "I think we do look like we belong to the same family." That evening at the basketball court, I set off a dazzling display of fireworks. Emily leaned quietly on my shoulder, watching as the sky was painted with brilliant colors. Soon after, Aubrey and Millie arrived, bringing even more fireworks with them. As we prepared for the next round, Aubrey asked me, "What do you plan to do about the Roberts group?" I wasn't going to bother with those upstarts, but if we don't teach them a lesson, I'm afraid they won't learn and will keep causing trouble. "Speaking of lessons, I know just the thing." Emily winked, pulling Millie to stand beside her. They said they were going to perform a boss lady scene. "The wind is rising." Emily's gaze was intense. "So, shall we?" The two looked up, raising their hands to point at the sky in unison. "Let the Roberts group go bankrupt?" Aubrey and I both laughed at their adorable performance. Aubrey leaned in close and whispered, "My wife has started reading male-oriented novels lately, and it seems Emily's been reading them too. They often discuss their thoughts on the books when they're free. I must say, their acting is quite spot on." We exchanged glances and chuckled simultaneously. Female CEOs who read novels. Rather cute, aren't they? The financial scandal of Roberts Group quickly became trending on Twitter. During the investigation into Roberts Group, more issues were uncovered, including counterfeit goods and passing off inferior products as high-quality ones. Roberts Group's cash flow dried up, and no bank was willing to lend them money anymore. "The wicked will eventually destroy themselves," Emily Collins remarked. "You've merely exposed the misdeeds Roberts Group has been committing for years. Their fate will naturally be decided by the consumers they've deceived." Occasionally, I would hear news about Angelina Roberts and Hank Thomas from my old university classmates. After the Roberts family's downfall, all of Angelina's so-called best friends cut ties with her, everyone fearing she might ask to borrow money. Hank Thomas and Angelina Roberts had a falling out. On one side, Roberts' group accused him of stealing company secrets, while on the other, several girls' boyfriends jointly exposed his flirtatious chat records with their girlfriends. The situation escalated quite dramatically. One of the boyfriends, being rather extreme, had Hank beaten up. Hank was left disabled and is still in a legal battle with that person. However, none of this concerns me anymore. I've fully taken over my father's business, and Emily and I are preparing for our wedding. As I left the office that day, I caught sight of a beautiful sunset. How lovely! Today, tomorrow, and the future all promise good weather.